Hello Magic Makers, welcome to Storytime with Mombierella. This is a young adult fiction and may be inappropriate for some younger audiences. Mother Knows Best, A Tale of the Old Witch by Serena Valentino. Copyright Disney Enterprises Incorporated, 2018. Chapter 8. Gothel's Plan. Gothel stood alone on the balcony off the library, overlooking the destroyed conservatory. It was still smoldering, sending tiny wisps of smoke into the air. It was a cold morning, and the tops of the dead trees were obscured in a heavy mist and choked with gray smoke and ash. The forest was silent and still, as the dead woods always were. But that day, it seemed even more unnatural than usual. Gothel couldn't shake the horrible vision of her mother dying. No matter how hard she tried to banish the vile images, she couldn't help seeing her mother cry out in pain, as her face became dust. It was the worst thing she'd ever witnessed. I did that to her. I killed my own mother. She couldn't imagine what that must have felt like. And it sent a horrible feeling throughout her entire body. She felt sick and trapped within herself, as if she would never escape the feeling of dread and guilt. She wanted to go back to the burnt structure and find her mother's remains. She wanted to put them somewhere safe, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. She was afraid. She had no idea what to do now. She and Hazel hadn't taken her mother's blood, only Primrose was given it. By force. Gothel wasn't given her mother's magic. She was defenseless. She was alone. It was up to Gothel to make sure they were taken care of. Gothel, did you sleep at all? It was Hazel. She was standing on the threshold of the balcony. Come inside. It's cold out there. I can't. What do you mean you can't? Come inside. Hazel walked out to meet her sister, saw that Gothel was looking at the ruins of the conservatory. She's not going to rise from the ashes, Gothel. All the Rapunzel was destroyed. Not all of it, said Gothel, taking one small flower from the pocket of her dress. That's not enough to bring her back, is it? Asked Hazel, fearful her mother's spirit could somehow use the flower to rise from the dead. I'm not worried about Mother coming back. I'm worried about us. I'm worried about how we're going to survive without her. Without her blood. Without her powers. Gothel stood there a moment, looking at the smoldering ashes below. I thought I'd lost you forever last night, Hazel. You and Primrose. It was terrifying, finding you lying there in the darkness, so still, so quiet. I thought you were dead. But we're fine, Gothel, and we're home. We're together forever. Sisters, together forever. Gothel smiled. Then she remembered. Wait, Primrose. She has Mother's blood. Some of it, at least. We have to do the ceremony again when she's recovered. Then we won't be so defenseless. Gothel, we can't put her through that. Not after what Mother did to her. Not after everything we went through last night. We have no choice, Hazel. We have to. You didn't see what happened to Mother. The way she died was horrible. The same thing will happen to us if we don't replant this flower and learn Mother's magic. Or we can destroy it and the entire forest and leave this place forever. Live normal lives without magic. There's nothing for us here, Gothel. Nothing. There's no magic to learn now that Mother is gone. Primrose has some of Mother's magic. She forced her to drink the blood. Maybe it's enough. Hazel, promise me you won't give up. Please. Let's just talk to Primrose about it when she's feeling better. I promise we'll only do it if she agrees. I promise I won't force her. But we still don't know how to do the ceremony, even if she agrees. I still have all of Mother's books, all her spells, her history, the history of our ancestors. Everything is not lost. I can replant the flower, and we can start again. We can still have the life we imagined, please. Okay, Gothel, as long as Primrose doesn't mind doing the ceremony. What ceremony? Was Primrose. She was standing in the center of the library in the shadow of a large stone bat hanging from the rafters. She looked drawn and pale in her white nightdress, and the cuts and bruises on her face and neck were all the more striking in contrast to her pallor. Prim, what are you doing out of bed? Scolded Hazel, running to her sister. I'm fine, Hazel, I promise. What were you two talking about? Hazel and Gothel just looked at Primrose. They weren't ready to have this conversation right now, and they knew Primrose wasn't ready to hear about what they had to say. What? What is it? Primrose insisted. Nothing, Prim. We can talk about it later. Let's go downstairs and have some breakfast, said Hazel, patting her hand. No. I want you to tell me what you were talking about right now. Primrose put her hands on her hips and gave her sisters her infamous, "I'm very serious" look. Gothel and I were discussing our options. What options are those? Primrose was clearly starting to get annoyed. Staying here in the dead woods or going into the world, said Hazel, looking at Gothel. Well, we should go, of course. I don't want to stay here, said Primrose. Why in Hades would we stay here? Gothel sighed. What? You want to stay? Primrose scoffed and continued. Of course you want to stay. Well, you can stay if you want. You can stay forever for all I care. But I'm leaving, and I think Hazel wants to come with me. Hazel wants to stay with me, Prim. And I wish you would too. I need you both, said Gothel, as sweetly as she could, trying hard not to upset her sister, even more than she already was. Gothel was hoping you'd be willing to share Mother's blood with us, Prim. That way we would all have powers, at least some of them anyways. Oh, really? That's why you need me? For Mother's blood? What's happened to you, Gothel? What in Hades is wrong with you? Fine, I'll share Mother's blood with you, but I'm not staying here. I'll not stay in a place that houses dead children. I will not stay here and watch you turn into Mother. I don't want any part of this sick fantasy you have in your head. The three of us being witches together, doing magic, controlling those things out there. Those children, those dead children. You don't think I saw you last night commanding them to their graves after you found me and Hazel? You didn't think I saw the look on your face when they followed your orders? You look like Mother. Just like her, Gothel. I won't stay here watching you become her. More like her every day. Then why are you sharing her blood with me, Prim? Why not just leave now? Because I need you to find the spell that lets me out of this place. And I know you won't go with me, no matter how much I beg. And as much as I want to hate you, I can't. I love you. I won't just leave you here defenseless, with nothing. Now go to Mother's books and figure out how we do the ceremony. Now, asked Gothel in shock. This isn't how it was supposed to go. She wasn't ready to lose Primrose. She wasn't ready to say goodbye. Not like this. Not with Primrose hating her. Yes, now. We'll do it tonight, spat Primrose. That's not enough time, Prim, said Gothel. Well, it better be, because I'm leaving at midnight either way, even if I have to use Mother's powers to blast my way through the thicket. Primrose turned to leave the room. Prim, no, it's not enough time, please, Gothel begged. Primrose laughed. You're more like Mother than you even realize, Gothel. You don't care if I'm leaving. You only care that you won't have enough time to work out how to do the blood ceremony before I go. She left the room, slamming the door behind her and leaving Gothel gobsmacked. That's not true. You know it's not true. It's not like she can leave anyway. Not if I can't find the spell. Hazel had tears sliding down her face. I'm not so sure, Gothel. I'm going after Prim. Good luck finding Mother's spell. Gothel stood alone in the library. She felt a terrible chill and wondered if her sisters were right. Was she really like her mother? No, they were sisters. Together forever. Wasn't that the promise? It was Primrose who was breaking their vow. It was Primrose who was ruining everything. Gothel grabbed her cloak, which was lying on the back of her favorite leather chair, and threw it on, and left the library. The stone mason was chilly that morning. She could feel the coolness of the stone floors penetrating her house slippers. The cold there was the coldness of death, and she hated it. We need to buy some rugs, some tapestries, Gothel thought. She never understood why her mother hadn't thought to make a proper home for them. Why she was content to live in such a barren, cold place, always in the shadows of night creatures peering at them from the darkness. Maybe if I made this a real home, Primrose would want to stay, she thought. I could let Primrose buy whatever she wants. We could make this place a real home, a beautiful place she couldn't possibly leave. Maybe she would be happy again. Maybe. Gothel went upstairs to her mother's room. It was dark. All the curtains were drawn. It was damp from the cold and mist outside. She felt strange going into her mother's room. The air was thick and stale, and there was a faint smell of her mother. It made her queasy. Gothel realized she'd never really spent time there, in her mother's room. The deep crimson sheer curtains hanging from the four-poster made the room even darker. She could almost see her mother sleeping there in her bed. No, it's a trick of the light. She took a deep breath. and looked around the room, trying to banish the image of her mother from her mind. The room was bare, like the rest of the house. It was drafty, without mirrors or furnishings of any kind aside from the four-poster. A desk at the window, a little round table at her bedside. It seemed sad now, the empty room. Gothel almost forgot why she'd come up there. The key. It's probably in the desk. Gothel went to her mother's desk and opened the tiny drawer in the center. There it was, the key to Mother's vault. She slipped it into the pocket of her cloak and left the room quickly. She couldn't stand to be there much longer. She felt as if someone was watching her, as if her mother were there telling her to get out. As she left the room, she turned back to look at the bed again. For a moment, she thought she saw her mother standing there, at the foot of the bed, her eyes blazing with anger. "What are you doing?" It was Hazel. She was standing in the doorway. "What? Oh, Hazel!" "What's wrong, Gothel? Did you see something?" "I thought I did." "Never mind. How's Prem?" "She's fine. But she's serious, Gothel. She wants to leave." "I know, but I have a plan," Gothel smiled. Hazel smiled too. "You do, don't you? Do you think it'll work?" "I hope it does. I really want Primrose to stay. Not just because I want to take over for Mother. I want you both to stay because I vowed to be together forever, and I love you." "Then you better tell me about this plan. What can I do to help?" Thank you so much for listening. Please remember, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, share with a friend, comment down below. And remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day. Bye.